Welcome to video 5, the last video of chapter 5, where we will look at the transition to parenthood. I typically go through this section real quick, and I leave most of it for you to read on your own. But let me just kind of go through a few points here. Becoming a mother, well, there are many different ways to experience this transition. You can read about this in the book. Obviously, it's not just one type of experience. It varies from one mother to the next. One possible outcome of the pregnancy is at the end of the pregnancy, the mother may experience depression with peripartum onset. This is what we used to refer to as postpartum depression. They've changed the name. I guess this new name is more technically correct, but so it's now called depression with peripartum onset. This is a major depression that occurs in the last month of pregnancy or the first couple months after birth. And this is different than just, what might be referred to as postpartum blues. I mean, it's having the experience of what's called the blues, being somewhat down or a little bit depressed is fairly common. But to actually be diagnosed with depression with peripartum onset, this is a major depression, a very intense depression that typically lasts for many months, and can be very unsettling to, the starting of a family. And okay. It's important to also consider cross-cultural differences in women's experiences after birth. Once again, I'm just going to leave most of that section for you to read on your own. Similarly, I'm not going to cover too much for becoming a father. Make sure you read these sections. Fathers obviously experience many psychological and emotional changes, typically when they become fathers. Throughout the pregnancy as well as after the birth. During the pregnancy, some men experience physiological symptoms such as couvade. This is a French term, and what refers to is when a man, an expectant father, experiences physical symptoms. They're typically associated with pregnancy, with the woman that's pregnant. Things like weight gain, nausea, indigestion, backaches, mood swings, food cravings. So it's kind of like the man is experiencing similar symptoms to his partner that his partner is going through. Often this is not like really common, but it can happen sometimes when the male is just like so involved in the pregnancy and with the experiences and symptoms that his significant other is experiencing, and that he gets similar symptoms as the pregnant woman. Once again, it's called couvade. Okay. Also consider once again cross-cultural differences. It really varies from one culture to another, as far as how men experience pregnancy and what their role is in the whole thing. So read those sections on your own. And finally, this is the last slide we'll cover. Becoming a family is both stressful and joyful at the same time, particularly for first-time parents. Some typical feelings and states that parents experience are fatigue and exhaustion, especially right after birth in the first few months of caring, and this is more so if they really didn't know what to expect. And some new parents really don't know, like, how much they're going to have to rearrange their schedules and and be up during the nights and things like that. And um, anxiety, depression, and self-doubt are also very common with new parents. There are also other physical, financial, and social changes and concerns. Um, you know, physically, obviously, once again, going back to fatigue and exhaustion, it takes its toll physically to care for a newborn, and especially for a mother that her body has gone through massive changes throughout the pregnancy and even after the pregnancy. I mean, there are hormone shifts and things like that. So there's a lot of physical changes that are going on, particularly in the mother. Financial issues may arise. It's expensive to care for a newborn. There may be unexpected expenditures, social changes, obviously, with the changing schedule you have, and you're really tied to the schedule of the newborn. Um, Concerns with issues such as division of labor are very common, and marital satisfaction, and these are often connected. If there's a poor division of labor or an unfair division of labor, it sometimes leads to marital dissatisfaction. Men have been doing better apparently. Between the years 1965 and 2011, the amount of time that men spent caring for a newborn tripled. So between 1965 and 2011, uh, the time spent caring for a newborn tripled among among men. But even though it tripled, the time tripled, it's still only about half of the time that the mother spends caring for the newborn. So even though we like to think, that we have more equality between the sexes, and that males are more caring and sensitive maybe than back in the 60s or 70s, and it's not, we still have a really overall unfair division of labor. Many parents actually go into the pregnancy with an idealized notion of sharing the parenting responsibilities. Oh yeah, we'll do it equally. We'll both, care for the infant and get up during the night. And but even in those cases where, research has shown that even in those cases, often following the birth of the baby, the partners still end up assuming a more traditional division of household labor. Uh, by traditional, I mean the mother as the primary caregiver and the father as the helper. You know, not really the responsible party, but tries to help out here and there. Um, and and this, this can cause problems, especially if the couple had planned to share parenting responsibilities equally. It can be very draining on the mother if she doesn't get um, enough support from the father, or I should say the partner. I mean, um, in cases of two males or two females having a child. Okay. Anyways, that concludes chapter 5. Oh wait, no, sorry, I forgot that I added this. This I kind of stuck this on the end here. Um, I mentioned parental leave earlier um, as one of the contributing factors to the high infant mortality rate. And so this is a comparison of many countries, and the number showing the number of weeks of paid leave that um, mothers and or fathers are guaranteed. Um, you know, and if you're looking for the U.S., you got to go down to the very bottom, and you can see that we have 0 as the number of guaranteed paid weeks. So we're lagging behind all these other countries as far as having a parental leave policy where, mothers and or fathers can be guaranteed to receive some income while they stay at home with their infant. So this is the exact reason why I said earlier that the average length of stay for a mother is only 6 weeks with a newborn. It's ridiculous short amount of time to spend with a newborn baby. It gets in the way of things like breastfeeding, which is obviously gives a healthy start to the newborn's life. If all of a sudden the mother has to return to work after 6 weeks because she can't afford to take any more time off. So this is, I would say, like a real sore spot for families in the U.S. Now, it's not always 0 weeks of paid leave, and there are companies or individual states can offer, and some of them, certainly some companies and some individual states do offer some paid weeks of parental leave, but we have no federal guidelines or no federal guarantees of paid leave, whereas every other country on this list does. And look at the top there, Estonia, 87 weeks of paid leave. So that's like what, a year and a half or so, of paid leave for the mother to give the child, the mother. And many of these include mothers and or fathers where they can split the time. Not every country, but some of them include fathers as well, splitting the time. And so, the mother or the father or both staying home or both of them staying at home, it really gives the child the best start in life, the infant. 87 weeks, a year and a half, and you have income coming in. And some of these other, like, if you look at where the 50 mark is, which is basically 1 year, and you go up, you can see there's a number of countries that give over a year. And we're supposed to be a very rich country, so I don't know why we're given 0 weeks. And countries like Lithuania and Hungary and Latvia, and Romania are giving, a year or more. Okay. And once again, this certainly contributes to our higher infant mortality rate. It's the schlepping the newborn around from, daycare or childcare and, driving them there, picking them up, bringing them home. I mean, there's just a lot more risks of exposure to disease or infections and things like that, rather than the infant, being safe at home with a caring parent. And that will do it for Chapter 5.